He's a global thought leader in the field of customer experience. Let's give him a very warm welcome here in Oslo, ladies and gentlemen, Stephen van Belleghem.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the warm welcome. What a pleasure to open up this impressive event. I'm super happy to be here and share my story with you about the offer you can't refuse, which is a story about how can we make our customers happy? How can we give them an offer they can't refuse? And you know, I think that things are becoming more and more difficult to make customers happy. Like in the past, they taught us that we have to look for this one black swan, this one major event that will change everything. I think if you look to what happened in all of our industries in the past 20 years, we had like black swan after black swan after black swan. We had so many changes in the market that it feels like we're constantly evolving. Today we have scarcity in the market, we have high energy prices, we have lower buying power. Again, it's a request from the market to adapt. And more I'm a fan of this quote. It's from a good friend of mine. His name is Mark Lammers. He used to be the coach of the female hockey team of the Netherlands. He won the gold medal with them. And he says, it's no longer the best team that wins. It's the team that can adapt itself best in new circumstances that will win. And that's what we need to think about here today. And even though the market is more complex, at the same time you feel how the pressure from customers is building. People expect more. People expect you to find solutions. People are spoiled with new technologies that always seem to work. And this is like the big paradox for me in the world today, that you see companies like all of your companies who have great intentions to make your customer happy, but very often there is average to low execution. Even with the biggest brands in the world. Like look at this. United Airlines, their slogan is, let's fly the friendly skies. A couple of months ago, this happened. There was a passenger sitting on the wrong seat of a United Airlines plane, and the friendly skies in real life were a little bit different than what the marketing slogan said. Like, you feel that there's a perception gap here in between what the leadership team thinks and how this passenger is feeling the friendly skies. So we have some work to do. But the same goes for Nespresso. Like, my wife is a huge fan of Nespresso. She likes her coffee, and sometimes I order it for her. And last time when I went to the Nespresso site, I got super excited because they gave me this delivery option. Delivery when it suits you best. Now, I don't know how e-commerce is in Norway, but I come from Belgium. And in Belgium, this is not the way forward. Usually, it's delivery when it suits them best, is my philosophy. So I got super excited. Delivery when it suits me best. I have to pay a small premium, but with pleasure. So with full excitement, I went to the next page, and this is what they offered me. They said, when do you want us to come? On Thursday between 8 in the morning and 6 in the evening, or Friday between 8 in the morning and 6 in the evening? And I'm happy to pay a premium fee for this world-class, unseen level of service. And this is my feeling sometimes. You try out things, it looks cool, and then bam, the whole thing breaks. And now I'm coming to the saddest part of my presentation. I'm a huge Disney fan, and Disney is a wonderful brand, but even Disney screws up now and then. Like a couple of weeks ago, this happened in Disneyland Paris. There was this young man who was proposing for his future wife in front of the magical castle. His friends were filming it. The crowd was going wild, saying, oh, look at this romantic moment here. And then this happens. A guy with a Mickey Mouse hat steals the ring and says, no, the proposal has to be done down there. So how to ruin a great moment. So, so you see, great intentions, average to low execution. You know, I've been in this field of customer experience now for 20 years, and more, I'm convinced that most of your organizations are a diamond in the rough when it comes to customer relations and customer experience. You have wonderful intentions, but you don't manage to actually implement them and let the customer experience that as well. And this is what I want to talk about today. How can we create this future? How can we really understand what people want? And the good news is this. The good news is that it's pretty straightforward what people expect from you. They're like three things. And we're here now in Norway, but it would be the same if we would be in Brazil or in New York or in Amsterdam or in Madrid. It's more or less the same around the world. Your customers expect you to deliver digital convenience. I don't need to explain that. Because of the rise in digital, people expect more human kindness, more human empathy, business empathy, and more people expect you to do well for society. And then you have three dimensions that are crucial for today's market. And of course, from individual to individual, there may be a little bit more or less weight on, two or three of these dimensions. But in general, this is what people want. And it's based on that insight that I started to create my philosophy around the offer you can't refuse. There are a number of things you need. Of course, you need a good product and good service and a competitive price. We all understand that. But you don't win the game anymore with just a good product. It's your ticket to ride, it's not your ticket to win. And I think the same can be said about digital convenience. I mean, just look how we grew into this. Think about the last 2-3 years, how COVID was actually the big digital jump forward. It's like we got catapulted into the future. And it's like every part of our lives today has this digital component with it. And we feel this every day that we work and live. It's like COVID was a time machine. McKinsey did the math, and we actually jumped 7 years into the future because of COVID in digital adoption. So it's now September 2029. And I can get really excited about time machines. I love time machines. So I stepped into the COVID time machine, and then 7 years later, I stepped back out of it. And that was a magical moment. I looked around and said, all these beautiful digital opportunities. But I have to be honest, that's also the moment when I was really disappointed. It's almost a year ago now, but it was October 4th last year. I'm sure you all remember what happened on October 4th last year. It was a sad day in our life. It was the day that the entire Facebook group went down for like 10 or 12 hours. I mean, it's the day that you were bored, that you thought, what do I do today? Huh? And we got some shady explanation from Mark Zuckerberg, who didn't really know what happened. And then 10 hours later, they were back. And then the fun begins, because then a company like Facebook, they apologize. And it's one of my hobbies. I like to read the apologies. And of course, Mark Zuckerberg, he apologized on Facebook. He said, sorry guys, it won't happen again. And you know what I like even more than reading the apologies? That's reading the comments on the apologies. If you're ever bored on a rainy Sunday afternoon, read the comments on Mark Zuckerberg, his post. I mean, it's a party by itself. But I was very lucky. The first comment was already a major hit. There was this guy who said, Mark, don't buy Pornhub. I see you understand why, huh? But I was like, is he making a joke or is this real? So I am a researcher, so I dove into the user statistics of Pornhub, and this is what I found. You can clearly see the moment when Facebook goes down, and then the world is like, let's do something else. And then Facebook comes back and they're like, okay, we can go back to Instagram now. We're good. So this guy was not making a joke. I mean, he was that serious. He was like, imagine that Facebook and Pornhub go down at the same time. What would we do? I mean, it would be a disaster. So, it was a time machine, small bump in the road, but next to that, we're good. But, the time machine has a consequence. We live in a world today where customers know what works and doesn't work, and convenience is a commodity. If you have it, fine. If you don't have it, people don't understand. There is zero tolerance for digital inconvenience. And if your product or your digital application is not good enough, people will not use it. It's never the market's fault. It's always your own fault. And this is like my favorite anti-advertising picture of the year. Huh? If it's not good enough, we will not use it. There's zero tolerance for digital inconvenience. And what the worst thing in the world is today? Having to use a digital tool that doesn't work as it should, like from the Belgian government or from a school. When you have to use it and it doesn't work, it can upset us. And that is why I invite all of you to become friction hunters. All of you can become friction hunters. Your team members can become friction hunters. And a friction hunter is someone who can identify the small frustrations that you create for your customers because a link doesn't work, because it's not good enough. A friction hunter can see that, identify it, and knows that with a small effort, that problem can be solved. That is what a friction hunter does. Can I show you my favorite example of a friction hunting company? It's Walmart. It's the largest company in the world. 2.4 million people work for Walmart today. And they know that a lot of people order their groceries online and they want to pick it up in the store, but they don't like to wait. That's why they installed these huge pickup towers. So you go to the store and then you just take your phone, you scan your app, barcode, QR code, and just in a few seconds you have your product. So they removed the friction of waiting in line, right? But then they said this is not going far enough, because people still need to park, they need to walk over, and they need to carry their stuff. What if we change the parking lots into a drive-through? And that's exactly what they did. They changed the parking lots into drive-throughs. People take their car. They don't even have to get out of the car. They put the groceries in it, and bam, off they go. So all those frictions are gone. But you could say, yeah, but Stephen, what with people who don't drive home passing by a Walmart? A detour, that's a friction, right? And it is. That's why they invented in-fridge delivery. So you order through your mobile, then they send someone to your house with a digital lock. They open it up, they film everything so you see what's happening, and they put all your groceries nicely and neatly in the refrigerator. They removed all frictions of that process. Now, maybe some of you think, yes, but Stephen, I don't like the idea of another human in my house. And I can sympathize with that. If you don't like a human, we can always send in the robots. So you see, there's a solution for every friction that you may have. And just as a little side story, I'm a huge fan of robots. These are my favorites. I'm sure you've seen these videos. They're from Boston Dynamics. They're like cool and creepy at the same time, right? I love watching the video, but if one would walk in through that gate in the back, I would be off the stage instantly. And just a small tip, if you would use these robots in your warehouse or so, always treat them with respect or feel the pain. Small tip that I wanted to share. But Walmart is a wonderful example of a friction hunter. And you can all be friction hunters. The cool thing about friction hunting is that it does not matter what your role in an organization is, where you are in the hierarchy. You just need to see and feel frictions for customers and then find a solution to solve it. That is what friction hunters do. It's not about technology, it's about culture. It's about understanding what people want. But to get to that offer you can't refuse, we need more than just a good product and digital convenience. If you have a good product and digital convenience, that is fantastic, but it's a minimum demand. It creates a transactional relationship with your customer. If you want to have a more emotional relationship, I like to play with two strategies on top of that. And one strategy is what I call partner in life. The other one is about adding value to society. If you manage to combine both, that's when you create an offer you can't refuse. And I'm going to walk you through that. What do I mean with partner in life? Now, I have to warn you a little bit. The next example will be very strange. It will sound weird. So be mentally ready for the fact that I will say something that will sound strange. Okay? I just want to warn you for that. Here we go. Imagine this. Imagine that tomorrow morning you wake up and you look around and you think, oh my God, I'm no longer in Norway. And you look closer and you think, oh my God, I have changed into a rhino. You never know. You never know. And I want to prepare you for that moment when you wake up and you're a rhino. Now, the good news is this. When you wake up tomorrow and you would be a rhino, your first concern would be to eat and drink something. And no problem there. You're good at that. You will find your food and your water. But there's a problem with your safety. And that is because nature made a mistake. Nature made the assumption that a rhino would have no natural enemies. Because when a lion bumps into the rhino, the lion thinks, no, we're not going to do that. Where are the zebras, is what the lion thinks. So nature was like, okay, they're good, no natural enemies. So because of that, the rhino didn't get all the premium safety features, Like a rhino doesn't have the best eyesight. The rhino doesn't have the best smelling capabilities. And unfortunately, because of that, a rhino is an easy victim for poachers, which is really, really sad. But there's good news. The rhino has a partner in life. These birds, they are called the oxpeckers. The oxpecker on the back of the rhino. And these birds don't just eat the parasite from the back of the rhino, they also function as an alarm system. Because these birds have great eyesight, and they can spot humans from a far distance. And when they see humans, they make a different sound. And the rhino recognizes the sound. And then the rhino knows, oh my God, there are humans coming, I have to run. That's the oxpecker on the back of the rhino. That's partner in life. That's what your customer expects from you. This is what it means. It means you're always around, but you are not intrusive, and you bring value at the exact right moment. This is partner in life. This is what your customers want from you. Always around, bring value, not intrusive, at the right moment. Now I see a few people taking pictures of this slide, which is very smart. And I don't want to be disrespectful. I know that you guys are the top-notch business people of Norway. But still, I am speaker number 1. I saw the entire program. By the time that the Apple guy comes, you will have totally forgotten me. And then the day after, you go back to the office and they say, how was it? And you're going to talk. And they said, but how was the first speaker? And they say, yeah, the first speaker, Steven, that guy from Belgium. What did he talk about? And then you will have to think really deep. And you will say, I remember. He talked about a bird and a rhino. And your colleagues will say, I thought it was a leadership conference. Yeah, but there was a message. Well, what was the message? And then you will think deep, very deep, and you will say, I remember now. I remember. Steven told us that we have to be always around. That was it. Now, this would be a very dangerous strategy for your company. I strongly disrecommend you to follow this. Because if you only do this, you will not be the oxpecker on the back of the rhino. You will be the fly on the back of the cow. Which is a bad idea. Let me be very clear about that. Because then you're indeed always around, but you're very intrusive and you don't bring any value whatsoever. You need to be the oxpecker on the back of the rhino. It's about always around, but not intrusive, and value at the exact right moment. Now, if you want to succeed in that, it's about understanding that there's a human behind every customer. And that every human, you and me, you have like a movie of your life in the back of your mind, with your hopes and your fears, your dreams and your ambitions. And the better you understand that there's this movie in the back of the mind of your customer, the more value you can bring in the life of customers. Here, it's not about optimizing customer journeys. It's about bringing value in the life of customers. It's not about selling cars. It's about being a mobility partner. Look at what Toyota is doing in Japan, close to Mount Fuji. They're building this new city called Woven City, which is like an experimental prototype community of tomorrow. By the end of next year, thousands of people will actually live there. But the crazy thing is, if you look at how they describe the city of the future, then that city, created by Toyota, the largest car manufacturer in the world, is a city without cars. Because they believe that the future of cities will be around people, and they want to play a role in that. They want to be a mobility partner. It's not about owning a gym, it's about being a partner in a healthy lifestyle. It's not about renting out student apartments, it's becoming a partner in the successful start of a career of those students. Like, there's this company that's called Upgrade Estate. They make student apartments in major student cities. They do more than just renting out square meters. They really want to be that partner in life. Every building that they own has a mental coach, because they know if the students are up, if they're sharp mentally, there's a bigger chance for success. They have the Upgrade Academy, where you can follow courses that help you in your career, but you don't learn in the student benches. They go further than just their product. They want to create added value in the life of their customers. Basically, the question is this: do we want to sell products, or do we want to create positive change? Can we be the oxpecker on the back of the rhino? That's the fundamental question that we need to ask ourselves. And then you have the top of the model. Can we use our strength to make a difference? Can we be part of the solution? I'm going to change this slide tonight. It's not good enough anymore. Because, you're going to have two positions that you can be in. Either you're going to be part of the solution, or you're going to be seen as part of the problem. Like Switzerland, neutrality will disappear in the business world. Either you solve things or you make things worse. It's going to be one of the two. And if you ask yourself, okay, but Steven, where do we need to start? Well, it's always interesting to look at things from a customer point of view. That's what I like to do. And ask yourself this: if customers buy your product or service, is there a trade-off for them? Like very often, we have trade-offs when we buy things. Like every day, we choose between privacy and convenience. And usually we choose convenience over privacy, but we're not always that happy with it. It's a trade-off. Or I want to buy a cheap t-shirt, even though I know it's not produced in an ethical way. Maybe children were working on it, but still, hey, I want to have the cheap t-shirt. It's a trade-off. Or I like to travel, even though I know it's bad for the planet. I still like to travel, so I do it. It's a trade-off. What is the trade-off in your industry? And once you've identified it, you can actually use that insight to reduce the trade-off or maybe eliminate it. Take fireworks. We humans, we like fireworks on New Year's Eve or when it's our national holiday. But animals don't like fireworks, especially dogs and horses can be really scared because of that, become aggressive even. Can we solve this trade-off? Yeah, we can. There are now these mini drones that we can send up in the sky by the thousands, and they create this beautiful light and sound spectacle that is at least as good as fireworks, but we don't harm animals anymore. That trade-off is solved. Or let's take this one again. Like, I'm not a vegetarian. I like to eat meat, even though I know that meat is bad for my personal health, and I know it's bad for the planet. I still eat meat. Can we solve that? Yeah. I mean, plant-based meat is on the rise. Companies like Beyond Meat or Impossible are creating this post-meat kind of world. And we all know that they're not there yet, but you feel how they're getting traction. You see them more and more in the world of fast food, in groceries. They're getting more and more traction. And the day that they succeed in fulfilling their mission, that's the day when they solve the trade-off. And I think this is the insight that we need. Being part of the solution is not just about sustainability. Sustainability will be a minimum demand. It's really about how can we use our strengths to remove and decrease the trade-off in our industry. How can we use our strength for the better? And I don't think your customers expect you to change the world. I think they want you to change your world. Just look at what you can do, where your influence is, and how you can make things for the better. And there you go. Then you have 4 layers, 4 dimensions that people value today. People like to have a good product and service and price. Of course, we want digital convenience. Those two create that transactional relationship. Partner in Life is about a deep understanding of the customer and bringing value in their day-to-day life. And then the last one is about using your strength to make a difference. The top 2 there creates a more emotional relationship. And each of these individually brings value, but if you bring them in one storyline, in one experience, that is the moment when you give your customers an offer they can't refuse. And this, I'm coming to the end of my talk. This is my invitation to all of you. You're investing your time into these 2 days, I think, which is an extremely smart decision. But my invitation is, when you get back in the office, ask yourself this: how far up are we? Where are we doing a good job? Where do we need to catch on? And I would also invite you, not just during my talk, but in the next couple of days, dare to dream, dare to let go of the day-to-day operational, and dare to dream and ask yourself, in my case here, on each of these levels, what could be the best possible outcome for our customers in 2025 and 2030? Timing doesn't matter, but what could be the best possible outcome for our customers? And then you reverse engineer it back, and then you start to build that. Dare to dream, dare to think about the best position, work your way back, and create for your customers the offer they cannot refuse. This is what I had for you here today to kick off this conference. I hope it was a good start for you. If you like my work, you're always welcome on my Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I share a lot of content there. I wish you 2 wonderful days, and thank you so much for listening to my talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That was brilliant.